This is Crackdown 3. This is the long-awaited sequel. It's a game about big explosions, booms, and intense action. So to start, we have the solo campaign and a co-op campaign option where you're able to play with one other player, which is a step down from the 4-player initially teased when this was revealed. Keep in mind this game has been sitting there for a long time being worked on and reworked on, and you can kind of see that when you're playing. There's also Wrecking Zone, which we're going to show in the latter half of the video because it is an entirely separate part of the experience, which is rather weird. So we're going to jump into the solo campaign here. At this point, I have actually beaten the game, quote unquote. The beauty of Crackdown, or the idea of it, is that you can actually just go and do whatever you want at any point. So I meandered around, somehow ended up fighting the second last boss, and then I walked up a roadway to the final boss and finished the game the other night without really doing anything else. So in the game, there's a couple different difficulty options. You're moving around, you're taking out enemies, you're collecting orbs, which is a crazy addiction for many people. You're fighting little bosses, and you're basically trying to take back the city. So this is an island. There's a new threat, there's a cinematic at the start, and then that kind of gets you into it. Then we have the island here. It's the largest island, but it's kind of, it doesn't really feel that big. It's a weird thing to say, but it's a lot more of a verticality than it is an actual like larger island. The middle here is basically like just all an acid pool with ugly rocks underneath, and all the size comes from you climbing up the Great Tower. So the smartest way to start this is probably by taking you up to a very high point. You're also able to customize your loadout. There are a ton of guns, weapons, gadgets, and all kinds of cool things you can play with. The game's about explosions. So I've got 3 rocket weapons set up to go, and I've got a shock grenade because it kind of holds people in place. So we're going to jump in here. This is an Xbox Play Anywhere title. So I'm on Xbox One X, which is supposed to give 4K resolution with HDR support. Being an Xbox Play Anywhere title, you buy it once digitally on Xbox One or Windows 10 PC. You own it on both. Cross-play, cross-saves between the 2 platforms, which is great. And you get to play with one other player. You have your director there, classic voice, great guy, love hearing him. But yeah, this is kind of the world. It's definitely Crackdown. I say that in the sense that this is legitimately like a current generation Crackdown title. That's what it is. It looks like it. The cell shading is beautiful. The artwork looks great. You get a large scale environment to play around in, and it's a lot of fun. It's about big booms, it's about silly things. Just don't expect anything too serious of it when you kind of come into play, because it's not a serious game. It's just kind of over the top. It's wild, it's sort of cyberpunky, and I did kill myself on purpose there. I just wanted to give a quick kind of perspective of like the height. We're going to jump into the starting area because this is most likely where you're actually going to be. As you can see, the game runs quite well on the One X. Performance-wise, it seems to be really clean, really clear-cut. I haven't noticed any issues, and I can get some crazy moments going on, and we're going to try to generate some larger explosions and stuff. So you can really see the action kick off. There's sort of like a GTA-style anger system in this, in the sense that you can like cause a lot of explosions, and then as that happens, bigger and bigger booms will basically kind of go on. You'll have more and more enemies coming, and you'll be killing more of them and doing stuff like that. So it's kind of overkill to use the rocket, but as you can see, I have 3 guns at the same time. You can hold Y to get to your 2 primary, and then you can tap Y to switch between them, and then hold Y to go to your, your 3rd option. Then we've got things like grenades, the shock grenade right there. On the left-hand side, you can see the map. You can also pull up the full map at any point, see all the different objectives and things you can do on the map. Tons of little options. You can see your agent. You can collect agent DNA to get different agents. Each agent has different abilities and options like that. My skills are quite mostly impressive. My driving is really low because I don't care to drive. You can drive at any point. This is the kind of nemesis system that's set up in the game. So it's not really a nemesis system. It's not like Shadow of War, but it's just a tree to get information on who you're trying to find. So you gather intel by completing various missions and then eliminating people. But as you can see, I went right up there and I've finished the game basically. Well, as much as you can finish it narrative-wise. Yeah, I've beat the game, which is really cool, I think. Anyways, this is my little fun rocket thing. Causes big booms. As you can see, it's a colorful, vibrant world. The day cycles. It's not really like weather or anything, but you know, stuff changes. So it's not a game about just standing there. As you collect orbs, as you complete missions, you do trials. There's like rooftop chases where you kind of do trials to get the fastest speed along rooftop races, and you get agility points for doing that. And everything you do kind of earns you skill points. So, you know, kills for skills, or skills for kills, however you want to put it. There's a proper way. I'm covering both my angles in case I messed up. But you get these orbs, you see these little things that come out, and they improve your skills, and that is how you level up, and you know, you improve your character, you get bigger, you jump higher, you have more options and abilities and things that you can do within the world. And it's just a really fun kind of game. I love Crackdown. I think this is purest Crackdown. Probably, I don't know if it's the, yeah, it could be the best in the series, I want to say. It's hard to compare them when the other ones are so old at this point. But this one takes that initial concept and really does expand upon it. That being said, it also kind of feels a little bit empty too. Now that I've beaten it, it's sort of like, and I didn't really feel that it was overly long, or that the area I have to play in is really large. I don't get quite the same expansive feeling that I did with the original, where you got like a large landmass that you're killing bosses in. I know this one is bigger, but for the time and how long it took, and I mean, we don't review based on how long it takes to make a game, it doesn't seem that impressive, you know? It just doesn't seem to be what I had really expected it to be at this point. It's still a really solid game. It's a great Crackdown title, but I don't know, there's something that's like missing in it or something. I don't know. I was just hoping for something more, but it does run well, and it looks pretty cool, and you've got all these different abilities. Jump! And you can go to all these different roofs, and you collect all these orbs. I feel like I've collected all the orbs here, because I'm trying to find one that I can show off. And there's like secret orbs too, and there's driving challenges. And there's like a whole monorail system. There's tons of activities, just like a ton of like tedious type things. One where you're like killing officers, or you're collecting weapon depots, or you're freeing civilians, or something like that. I'll show off the driving quickly. You can kind of summon a vehicle once you get to a certain level. Everything seems to be like LB based. It's kind of weird for that, as far as like your functionality. You hack a lot of terminals. You're sort of doing the same repetitive things, but if you're like, you know, you've played Crackdown, you know what Crackdown is. That's what this is. It's like an expansion upon it. And there's a lot of toys to play with. There's a lot of kind of options as you advance your skill level, and you get more cooler things as you progress. And there's tons of different enemy types. And there's, you know, a fair bit of content to this. You get quite a few hours of gameplay out of it. And it can be challenging too. You actually gain more shield and health for more enemies you kill. So if you're like getting attacked by a lot of guys, you just got to keep killing. That's the only way to get it done. That guard took that guy out. But you can have fun with it. You can pick up objects and throw them. Agility Orb!
Enemy turrets online.
I guess we can do this while we're here. Just kind of like a little idea of about a little bit of a mission. The bosses are a little bit more dynamic now. You don't just kind of go in and kill them. They've got like stages to them, and there's like varying levels of difficulty. You're supposed to kill Roxy and then do the final area, because it's significantly easier to do, because they like the lifts and stuff kind of activate. I had to do like a manual climb all the way there, but that is again the fun of Crackdown, is the fact that you can kind of find sneaky ways to do things that maybe you should be able to. And I also find that the characters have a little bit more of a clamber, like they can climb up stuff a bit better than in the past, and that's appreciated. But it's just like a fairly large world that you kind of explore. It embraces the cyberpunk. As you're noticing, there's little bits of pop-in, but it's not really something you notice when you're going around exploding and destroying things. But again, it's just like, it's good. I don't think it should have taken this long to achieve this kind of state. Like, it doesn't seem like, I don't know. Again, I don't review based on that, but it just seems like there should be something more for how long they took on this, you know, the campaign portion of this. I don't know if I was expecting more of an intense narrative delivered or what, but I don't know. There's a lot of hours of gameplay. You can collect orbs until, you know, you die, basically. There's so many orbs to collect. Because we love the Agility Orbs. That sound. Love that Agility Orb sound. But if you like Crackdown, this is Crackdown. I don't know if it was a niche title back in the day, but I really loved it, and this one really does capture that special feeling that I enjoyed so much. It brings the boom, and this is definitely a franchise that is worthwhile. I think it's got some cool things to it that other titles, you know, don't have. Like, you can do all kinds of cool ground pounding and stuff. I don't know, it's just kind of like a silly, wacky, over-the-top game, and they really embrace all the crazy elements where it's like, your agent's for justice, and you got the guy talking in the background. And I love the dynamic between him and the new sort of female guide character. I think she's really cool. Just kind of like a new presence, kind of talking to you while you're doing things. I think they're trying to maybe, you know, push forward into like a new generation of Crackdown agents. And it's neat to see an actual sense of progression. I mean, you're building your characters, you're getting better, you're improving over time, and you can play with a friend. Again, it was supposed to be 4-player co-op, so, you know, that's kind of a little bit of a disappointment. You know, I think my health's going down, but as I blow things up and I cause mayhem, I'm good. Maybe we kind of like, maybe pick somebody up over here. Yeah, let's kill this guy. And then we can, I dropped him. You can like pick up things and you can throw it. Like, you can throw big objects, so you can get big explosive things and throw them at stuff and blow things up. There's drones, there's tanks, there's all kinds of stuff around, and it's hard to show this off in a precise and kind of concise setup, but you get the sense of it. You go around, you cause big booms, cyberpunk style city, lots of verticality, lots of climbing, tons of enemies, big challenges, a GTA style system where your action goes more intense as you cause more mayhem. And I didn't really get it up as high as I was hoping, but, you know, limited time. You've got your health, you've got a concise way of knowing what you're supposed to be doing, and you just go around causing explosions, shooting people, using weapons, driving cars, and tackling the city and its problems any way you seem, fit, or I guess deem fit. But, you know, and that is the Crackdown 3 campaign. We're going to switch over to the Wrecking Fest, which is the multiplayer portion of the experience, and something that is supposed to really show off kind of the potential what this game has, or what they've been building for on Cloudwise.
I love the smell of toxic fumes in the morning.
This is the Wrecking Zone, which is the multiplayer aspect of Crackdown 3. Now, this is audio that was put in afterwards. Usually I do everything live when I'm doing these reviews, but these were limited timed sessions, which I didn't realize that. They actually shut them down. They only gave us a small period of time to actually jump in and play. You're going to see both of the modes that are present here at launch. We have one right now where it's territories, you're capturing the positions change, and you're trying to get points, and the other one is basically a play on kill confirmed, where you're killing people and collecting these sort of badges. Now, yes, they did deliver on the explosions and the physics and the destruction with the cloud. It is exactly how they presented it back in the day. Everything can be just demolished, smashed, crumble, glass shatters dynamically, and it's very impressive from a technology standpoint. That being said, it also feels like it's just a tech demo. It doesn't feel like a refined multiplayer experience. I don't know why this is a separate package. The game at launch does not include the ability to play with friends. There's no party system. I found that news out. Anyways, that aside, to me, I can't even recall a game that didn't have the option to play with friends. That's just stupid and crazy. And I say tech demo because, I mean, it kind of looks like a bunch of little plastic pieces, which, you know, makes sense because the technology, that's how you get this to run well. But also in the sense that this is how I would sell my vision of what I would think Crackdown's multiplayer would be. I'd go into a meeting. This would be the tech demo I would pitch. I'd be like, this is the idea and the concept that we want for this game. They just haven't done anything with the multiplayer. 2 modes is, you know, for how long it took. And again, we don't review based on, like, you know, length of time it takes to build something, but for all this time, this is all they have put together. I don't understand. I mean, it's fun, you know, don't get me wrong, but people are going to burn out of this really fast. I don't think this is going to last long unless they're adding modes right away and new stuff, because, you know, you've basically got deathmatch and you've got an objective thing, and that's it. That's all they're presenting. I don't know. It's just lackluster for a multiplayer. I was expecting something more interesting or something different. That being said, you get to have a fair bit of weapons to choose from, combat is fast. It seems fairly balanced. It's got some cool little styles to it. I love how you explode into little tiny little shapes and everything like that. And it does mirror the regular game well. There's a number of maps. You can trash them all. There's a lot of verticality to it. The maps are fairly large. They play well. I have noticed some performance dips, and I don't know if this was just because we were basically the first ones to play the actual live server when they went live just before launch, but yeah, there was definitely some performance issues on the 1X that I'm playing on, so that was a little disappointing. Again, it could just be, they're just getting things going, but I was like, this should be playing flawlessly for the time it's taken. That being said, you don't notice it too much. I mean, you're destroying a lot of things. There's a lot of mayhem going on. But, yeah, it's fun. You get to have the full abilities of an agent. You get to fly around, use all your jet boosts, and smash things, and move through glass, and take down buildings, and blast guys. The buildings actually kind of get in the way of a lot when you're trying to shoot people, because your shots are like, it's a lock-on, so it goes through buildings, and it just destroys everything. I mean, you're seeing that in the aesthetics of the world, just the way everything's crumbling, the little bits falling apart. I think the technology is kind of revolutionary. They just didn't take it and go anywhere with it, if that makes sense. Like, they gave us this really cool little sandbox to blow things up in, but that's it. You just get to shoot people, and that's all. There's no extra context, no modes, nothing that builds on this. I don't know, they could have done like a horde or something like that. Just more options to play. It just seems so minimal and like basic. Basically, it's like, we promised we were doing cloud stuff, so here's cloud stuff, and that's kind of what it is. You just walk around shooting people, and the one you capture objectives. Like, I'm an objective player, so that's what I'm very passionate about, is playing things like rings, or you're capturing stuff, which territories is fine, but I kind of was wanting more. Maybe like a capture the flag would have been nice. Just King of the Hill, anything more? I don't know, it seems so bare bones. And it's cool, like I'm running around smashing things, running through buildings and taking down towers. This is awesome. You can just completely destroy the world. This is like the future of gaming technology. They've done something absolutely marvelous here from a technology standpoint. But from a fun gameplay, this is something I want to play with my friends. A, you can't because they don't have a party system. And B, there's not really anything to this. I mean, you're going to play it, and if they don't add content right away, it's just going to die. I mean, without party system, it's basically kind of dead on arrival, in my opinion. I don't know why you wouldn't have that. I don't know how you could defend not having that. That's like one of the most basic things. I think games from the beginning of multiplayer gaming had options for you to play with your friends. So that's weird. They should have had rolling lobbies. It just kind of ends and you go into another match. At least that's how it was pre-launch for us. And, I mean, the matchmaking does work quite well. It's efficient. Again, the teams seem, fairly balanced. We're having a good time. I quite enjoy playing it. I think it's cool just to go around, like, smash things and blow stuff up. And the worlds have, like, an alright aesthetic to them for the multiplayer. And they're dynamic and large. And there's a lot going on, lots of verticality. But there's also a sense of ground, too, that I thought was maybe missing from the actual campaign. In the sense of actually having a cityscape that you're moving through. This feels like somewhere people would actually live. Whereas the regular campaign is kind of like a fantasy setting to a degree, just with the way the island's shaped. I think this makes more of a natural sense. Anyways, this is Wrecking Zone. Not a whole lot to it, but I hope this kind of gave an idea of what the multiplayer aspect of this is like. I think there's a lot of potential, but we've been saying that for a long time, and I'm not seeing it being unleashed here. The cloud technology is outstanding. I mean, the braking here, I don't think any game comes close to this. I know we've seen the Frostbite engine back in the day, and they kind of leaned off of that a bit over time, just because it is such a performance hog when you're playing multiplayer to have all this destruction, and it does take a lot of the pressure off the console by having the cloud do it. I mean, just look at the feet, how it's smashing through the railings, and it's dynamically cracking and breaking down, and all the particle effects going on. It's wonderful. It's incredible. I wish more games had this kind of cool tech to them. And I think this is where things are going in the future. And this is a good showcase of, again, a tech demo of what could be done with this type of thing. They need to take it further and actually make more content out of it. because 2 modes is like whatever. Anyways, that's Crackdown 3 campaign and the multiplayer wrecking zone.